Charles, welcome to the stand.
Thank you.
Long-time friend, and really good to see you here at Move. Tell us about what you guys are up to now. What's the business? What are you guys doing? Where do you fit in the mobility space?
Yeah, so I'm part of a company called Samba Safety, based in the US with a UK office. We do two things in really simple terms. We help fleets to understand the profile of their driver's risk, to help them manage that risk better, help them mitigate that risk using all data sources, whatever it may be it public, government records, or telematics. And then we also work with insurers to help them remove friction out of the quote process, number one, through understanding the background history of the people they're potentially going to insure, and then also help them to launch UBI products using data that their customers have, basically. So that's us.
Yeah, brilliant. And as you said, US-based company, pretty big in the US, but kind of more recently coming into the UK and Europe, primarily, and starting to pick up some of these new products.
Absolutely. So 15,000 clients in the US, big footprint, and then just over a year ago, got a UK arm through the acquisition of my company, actually. So that's where that whole arm came from. So Samba's now got a European presence, which is great. And, we're loving working with our US colleagues.
Yeah, awesome. And I guess from a product point of view, the relevance in the mobility space is, I guess, as people are getting more flexible access to vehicles, particularly when you're talking about kind of Uber drivers, delivery drivers, all that kind of stuff. The kind of understanding the driver versus insurance, and that kind of relationship is becoming more and more important. Is that a kind of trend you guys are seeing?
Yeah, definitely. Because if you think about if you first buy a car, you go and get insurance once a year. You go through that process only once. Because with new mobility models, you're more likely to hire a car, subscribe to a car subscription service, engage in a new mobility model, whatever that may be. Every single time you do that, then the person providing that service to you needs to know about your background and your history, and then needs to be able to manage your risk while you're using their service. So, we're seeing more and more opportunity outside of the traditional insurance space, increasingly in rideshare, gig, mobility models, things like that.
And I guess those models as well, a lot of them are higher risk as well. Like you're seeing the customer for less time, you don't have time to go. You have someone on a 12-month policy that renews 3 times and they have one accident. You have a gig driver who's with you for 12 hours and they have an accident. You've got some of those challenges. So does that become a thing that you guys try and monitor and look at?
Yeah, 100%. And actually, there's a sort of a cohesion of those two scenarios as well. Because if you've got traditional insurance, you start to understand, okay, what's the background history of that person, and therefore if we know what their risk profile looks like, when then another customer comes to us and says, okay, I want you to risk rate this person, because we know that a person with a background of X generally has a risk profile of Y, because we've seen what they look like over 12 months, we can apply that to the person who maybe is only exposed to that service provider for a week. So it's a great intersection of our kind of traditional product and the application in that new mobility model. But you're dead right, that is an issue, and the other issue is fraud and people maybe using the services that are slightly less than desirable to be using your service.
Yeah, cool. And I guess as a final point, I'm not sure this is your first time at Move, first time I've seen you at Move, but how are you making of the event so far?
I think super interesting. What's fascinating about this kind of conference is it feels like it's all about partnerships. It doesn't feel... There are people out there with clear, cohesive products and engaging and connecting with people, but the openness and willingness, even for exhibitors to talk to other exhibitors and engage and figure out how do we work together, that's really interesting, and to me is a sign of where this whole ecosystem's at, which is everyone's still trying to figure out where they fit. The market's growing super fast, and it's just about how do we work together, and how do we try and find our place and deliver value in a market that's just going to keep growing at a really fast rate. And I think the overarching thing is no one really knows where it's going to go, but everyone's delivering something today and figuring out what it looks like tomorrow.
Yeah, awesome. Brilliant. Charles, thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
No worries.
Great. So we're here with Jawad from HBS, star attraction of the show, I'm understanding. So yeah, tell us a bit about your products.
Very kind of you to say. My name is Jawad Khursheed, CEO of HBS. HBS is a hydrogen technology disruptor in the HGV market. We're of the opinion HGV shouldn't stand for heavy goods vehicles, but hydrogen goods vehicles.
Yeah, cool. And your hydrogen truck that's here today, tell us a bit about that. So lots of people have been telling me about it, and I've been hearing about it as we've been going around. So tell us what you've got here.
It's good to hear that people were saying good things about it. Believe it or not, back in 2019, I came to this show for the first time, and I thought this was a great show. Little did I know, a few years later we'd be headlining it, so it's been really good for us and promising in that fact. Obviously, battery electric has a place within decarbonising as well, but so does hydrogen. We believe battery electric further down the payload has its place in passenger vehicles, but the heavy duty long range vehicles, the answer to that is hydrogen. As you can appreciate, HGVs are only 1.5% of the vehicles on the road, but they contribute up to 19% of all greenhouse emissions. So it's imperative we find a way to decarbonise the heavy polluting vehicle on the road.
Hey, awesome. Yeah, sounds amazing. And I think I've heard a bit about you guys in the past and your journey. So what's your current stage? Do you have a vehicle here today?
Yeah.
Where were you on your journey?
So on our journey, where we are is when I started the company, I took over the company in 2020. That was just myself, and now we've taken the company up to 150 odd employees. We've delivered 2 demonstrators at MCV, the HGV. We've raised over 52 million from private and public investments. We're now going into the phase of stress testing the vehicle before we put it into full-scale production in the coming years.
Awesome, okay. And when do you expect to see it on the road? I know that's $1 million question. Do you want to answer on record, but what's your kind of roadmap?
Under promise and over deliver, so we're hoping in the coming years we should be there. But we are closer than the vast majority of people know. Hydrogen's one of those things people think there's a lot of challenges, which is correct, there are, but the answers are far closer than you can imagine.
Okay, awesome. That sounds really good. And in terms of the applications that your kind of demos are having and the first application in the market, where do you see those being? Is there going to be a certain type of vehicle that you're aiming for with the platform?
So one thing with regards to platform, one thing that we're doing which is different to everyone else is a ground up design, as in we're not taking a consistent chassis and a current chassis and retrofitting. What we're doing is ensuring that every part of our vehicle is optimised for hydrogen. So we've built a ground-up design from a blank sheet of paper and ensure that whatever part of this vehicle you look at is optimised for the purpose of hydrogen.
Okay, brilliant. And then just finally, I guess, tell us a bit about your experience at Move here for the last couple of days. So you're kind of coming to the end of interviewing people, so you've had nearly the full 2 days. So what have you made of it with the people you've seen and met? Your feedback? As
I mentioned to you at the start of this, a few years ago, I was here thinking it's a great show, and I'm still of that opinion, if not more. The fact that we've been able to bring our vehicle here and the amount of people that have come, looked at our vehicle, we've had fleet operators to startups showing us their technology that we can incorporate into our vehicle has been really good.
Yeah, awesome, great. Joe, thanks very much for joining us. I really appreciate it, and I was going to say enjoy the rest of the show. It's nearly done, but enjoy the final hours.
Pleasure's all mine.
We're here at Move Day 2, here with Joe from Ellis. Joe, tell us a bit about what your business does and what you're doing here.
Sure, so Ellis is actually the battery intelligence software division of WAE. So for those who don't know WAE, we have experience building the batteries for Formula E, for lots of kind of high-performance cool applications, hypercars, mining trucks, all sorts. And through those for the last 10 years, we've built up a lot of capability in battery modelling, battery management. So Ellisio is really about taking that software and now making it available to the mass market. So you don't have to be a hypercar developer to benefit from the software that we create. And really, we believe that the world still doesn't understand lithium-ion batteries very well, right? And that there's huge opportunity through software alone, through ones and zeros, to improve the life, the safety, but also the performance from literally any lithium-ion battery system that exists in the world today.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, sounds fascinating. I think because hearing quite a lot actually within kind of directly the auto space about people worrying about GFEs, worrying about battery health for second-hand vehicles, all that kind of stuff. So definitely that lack of knowledge, certainly in the mainstream, is a thing that people are starting to worry about now. There's a lot of them around. So how are you guys kind of deploying your technology? What type of things are you looking at starting to get involved in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've created what we call the Ellis Cloud platform, where we basically take in like standard telematics data, kind of unsexy electrical signals, voltages, current temperatures, and with that we're able to not only say, okay, what is the health of the battery today, but also how long is it going to last and what's causing that battery to degrade. Is it because maybe you drive like Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah.
Is it because, I don't know if you do, is it because you leave your car parked at 100% overnight? Is it because you fast charge multiple times a day and you're like a taxi driver? And with that insight, we hope that whether you're like an OEM, so the car manufacturer, or maybe like a fleet operator, you can make better decisions as to how you deploy and use those batteries over time.
Okay, nice. And that's something that is going to come into, I guess, sharing the data, say, with OEM, but also maybe with fleet operators, people who are looking to predict the value of the vehicle, even things like being able to, I guess, measure the quality for second-hand use. So, I guess the thing someone was explaining to me the other day is about two cars that have done the same mileage aren't necessarily the same quality anymore. You used to be able to go out to 20,000 mile car, you compare them side by side, look how many dents there are, but basically assume it's the same. But with a battery, that's totally not the case.
And more than that, battery life is sort of very non-linear in terms of the way that health drops off. We've all had that thing, right, where we have our phone, and for 2 years it's great, and then at like 2 years and 6 months it seems to die at 20%, the rest of it. And the reality is that we could both buy the same phone in the same shop on the same day. 2 years later, our phones feel like they're behaving the same. Then another 6 months, and mine might have died and yours might not have. And it could be because I fast charge all the time. So the reason that I've got to, let's say, 80% health is actually different to the reason that you've got to 80% health, which means that you have those sort of weird non-linear behaviours. And that's why we think not only battery health, but battery lifetime is super important. And AI is part of the solution, but AI doesn't solve everything. You also need to understand the fundamental physics and electrochemistry of what's actually happening inside those batteries to do a good job of it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, brilliant. Well, Joe, thanks for coming on and sharing a little bit of your story with us. Really, really interesting, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks so much. Really nice meeting you.
Great, thanks. Hi, Joe. We're here at Move today. Tell us a bit about your business. Really interested to find out what you guys are up to.
Yeah, so CleanBus does what it says on the tin. We remove diesel engines from buses and replace them with clean electric drivetrain.
Oh, awesome. And we were just talking off there a second ago about kind of impact.
Yeah.
You can see kind of huge application of this, but tell us some of kind of the facts and stats about the impacts that this type of technology will have.
Yeah, so it's quite simple. If you look at London alone, burns over 200 million litres of diesel in our city centre every year. So the impact on health, the impact on the environment, it's really critical, and it's an easily targeted area for a company like CleanBus to repower those buses to clean electric.
Yeah, awesome. And tell me a little bit about the process. I know, I'm quite a technical guy. I like to think about how this might work. What's the rough process for converting a diesel bus into electric? How do you guys go about that?
So from scratch, we do an assessment of the vehicle. So we assess all of the software on the vehicle, all the messaging architecture, and the physical capabilities of the vehicle. And then we strip out the vehicle and we model the entire physical vehicle. And then we set about designing a subframe, which is built for that type, make and model of the vehicle. And we build a drivetrain, we select components, we select the battery, energy storage, to create a drivetrain which is optimized for the duty cycle of that vehicle. So it's very tech heavy to begin with, but once we do the first one, then the second, third, fourth are much, much easier.
And I guess within a bus fleet, there's normally tens, hundreds even of the same type, right?
Correct.
That's council by a fleet op, so you go in and tackle the first one and then move that over.
Yeah, we definitely lose money if we did just one, but if we can do tens or hundreds, and its business model works.
And what kind of things have you been working on? What kind of interesting, notable projects have you guys had so far, projects you're working on?
Yeah, so we're very early stage. We've done our first vehicle, which is a vehicle we can take from being completely stripped out to loading in our drivetrain and driving away in 1 hour.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So again, the vehicle is prepared for it, but you can see the modular nature of what we're trying to achieve is very efficient from a time perspective. We do everything to a very high degree of functional safety, so that underlies everything we do. Our chairman is Terry Spall, who is the president of INEC. He's got an eagle eye for functional safety, so we don't get away with very much, and we try not to. But again, we're a mission-driven company, so everything is in alliance with the B Corp status.
Yeah, awesome. And then just finally, I guess a little bit about that mission, that vision. Where do you guys see? What's your kind of 3 to 5 year plan on this? Where do you guys see this going? I can see huge applications for it. So what's your plan?
Yeah, I mean, the electric drivetrain allows you to do things in a much more modular fashion. So we think the whole industry is going to go and move much more towards a modular drivetrain solution. So we are in talks with some OEMs for providing our electric drivetrain for their legacy vehicles. And we think the whole industry will go much more towards a modular drivetrain solution. So we'll end up being a modular drivetrain provider.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Brilliant. Joe, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the show. And yeah, thanks very much.
Chris, thank you very much. Pleasure meeting you. Thanks
cheers,
again.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Jordan from Cassie. We're here at Move. First of all, tell our listeners what it is you guys do.
So Cassie is a car subscription as a service company, and we've developed a car subscription tech platform with a white label solution and also marketplace connectivity. So
awesome.
We're here at Move, though, to meet with industry leaders. We have a show as well called Join the Ride, and so we're doing interviews, talking about the future of mobility and getting some insights from people like you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. We did a little exchange of knowledge, which is great. Sharing the mobility and subscription love, right?
Yeah,
so,
we need all of the help we can get in order to accelerate the segment. So that's kind of community building efforts like today.
Yeah, totally. And so tell us a bit about what you guys do. What kind of things are you learning from your customers today in the market? What kind of things are you seeing in subscription?
Good question. We have a lot of customers down here in Europe. We're from Norway and we have customers up there as well, but down here in Europe, we help our customers scale their service from country to country. So we have to, digitize their fleet to get them to implement this new revenue stream and then set them up for success, helping them with operations, getting all of the elements of car subscription in place so they can actually have a profitable service.
Awesome. And who are you finding are the people kind of adapting best to the subscription model? So I'm guessing you're working across a mixture of kind of base customers, the dealers and leasing companies. But what are you kind of finding is the sweet spot in your customer base?
We love the OEMs. We love the OEMs, the captives, the leasing companies, as well as dealerships, especially if they have it's a large dealership group, then we can help them offer a digital distribution channel as opposed to waiting for people to walk in their shop.
Yeah, and that's complementary to, in addition to the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, another product within their portfolio, another way to connect with a new customer segment and to offer a future type of product.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, great. Jordan, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the show, and we'll catch you soon.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Hi, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on. Slightly different to everybody else that we've had on here as kind of an industry expert, investor in this space, rather than coming for a product. I guess you're kind of an observer of the Move conference. And what have you made of the event so far?
I think it's been really good. I mean, this is my first Move event, and it's been really impressed with the scale, but also the various verticals within the mobility space. So there's some areas that I'm familiar with subscription and software, but there's other areas where I'm less so, and there's some great, new areas coming through. And I've got to say, some really good ideas from some of the startup businesses as well. So fantastic event and great to see you here.
Yeah, definitely. And if you spent a bit of time, we're kind of standing here opposite the startup area, which has got bigger and bigger every year. We were here for the first ever Movers, and maybe 20 startups. It must be like more than 100 here. Did you braved your way through those? Did you?
I did.
Any highlights you picked out?
No, I mean, funny enough, I bumped into Rupert Ponting, who's set up his own data business, which was great. Zoom is on there as well, which is good. Some great, AI businesses, some vehicle subscription, and other mobility. So I'd say there's 30 or 40 startup ideas here, and nice to see you've graduated onto a bigger platform.
Yeah, second year with a full stand.
Exactly.
Feels nice to be doing it. And I guess the overarching trends. I know you work with a number of businesses across auto and the mobility space. What are kind of the big trends that you kind of think or you're seeing for the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think it's, as you say, it's reducing friction in the car industry. It's also improving utilisation. I think software solutions that can solve problems in the automotive is very important as well. So I think anything that, for me, what's really important is anything with a very good customer journey that solves a problem in a huge marketplace has to be value accretive, and there's lots of ideas here today.
Yeah, awesome. Mike, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure,
great to see you here, and hopefully see you next year.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. So we're here with Bo, scooter company. Tell us all about yourselves.
So Bo, UK-based electric scooter company. Our background is automotive. I was working for a company called Williams Advanced Engineering, which was a sub-company of the Formula One team. My co-founders, one of whom I met at Williams, one of whom was Jaguar Land Rover. We're guys who love cars, love everything about cars, and we're now taking everything we did in that sector and we're applying it to an electric scooter. So that's kind of Bo in 30 seconds, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, and tell me what's kind of different, what's special about the scooter that you have, and what's kind of your aims and goals with it?
That's a good question. At the moment, scooters appeal to sort of 2% of the population, and our question that we ask ourselves is, how do you end up with scooters appealing to the other 98%? And most of those 98% understand cars, understand automotive. So the process we go through, which is subtly different, I think, to the rest of the sector, is what do you need as a function to use this thing as a vehicle every day? Yeah. What do you need for it to be a practical part of your life, something that you cherish, something that you use regularly? And that's all around how it fits into your daily routine, in how it gets you to work, and how you take it shopping. And the functions that we bake into that are just fundamentally different to what you get on a normal scooter.
Okay, nice. And whereabouts are you guys up to today? So we've got probably just about in shop. We've got one of your prototype models here in the background. So where are you guys at in your journey? So we first met last year at Move in Austin, right? So,
yes.
So how are things progressed since then, and what's kind of next stages for you?
Yeah, saw you at the Move show. So Austin was our sort of US unveil last year. We've had 6 months of relentless production engineering, and literally as we speak here at the show today, I'm getting photos of the very first chassis, which are production specification chassis coming offline. So we're probably now 6 weeks, 8 weeks maybe away from the first customer deliveries, and we're going slowly, looking after people, and in about 6 months' time we'll be at scale.
Nice. Okay, great. And just one final thing, because it's an area close to my heart. We were talking about subscriptions earlier. So tell us how you guys think subscription might play a role in how people access scooters.
So we're fascinated, as with any new technology, whether it's EV as a car or whether it's any other sort of slightly unexpected or sideways step in mobility. How do you let people access it, try it, integrate it into their lives without maybe making a commitment they're uncomfortable with? For us, there's two routes to that. Either someone can start with a very low-cost product from a competitor at 500 and then maybe try something a bit more and then work up to a Bo because they find product life fit. Yeah. Or they can dive in because they just want to try this. Now, we know a lot of our customers are not scooter riders. They're people who never really considered or found one of these before. And for them, subscription is an incredible opportunity to give it a go for a maybe less sort of onerous period than they otherwise would buying it, and to understand how it fits in, how much they enjoy it, how much new functionality they find. So it's challenging because as a startup company, you have to fund the program, right? It's always the question in a business is how are you going to pay for this? Nonetheless, we can see it's going to be a huge part of how people come to Bo and how they get access to this product.
Yeah, awesome. Fascinating. Well, really excited to see how it plays out. Thanks for chatting to us today. Enjoy the rest of the show.
You too. Have a great show.
Yeah, thanks.
Love it.
Cool. So we're here with Sahas from Smart Car. Tell us a bit about Smart Car. What does Smart Car do?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Sahas. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Smart Car. Smart Car is an API for cars. We make it super easy for developers and all sorts of mobility companies to be able to integrate with all the major car brands to build all sorts of apps, whether it's related to car sharing, car subscriptions, auto insurance, fleet management, etc.
Okay, awesome. And what are you finding is kind of the key use cases for you guys? I know you did touch on a few there, but like what are the biggest ones or the kind of fastest growing ones at the moment?
Yeah, well, what I'm excited about is if you're in London and you're on the underground, you'll see all these ads for Octopus Energy.
Yeah.
Their new smart car charging program, tariff rates, is powered by Smart Card.
Okay.
So if you connect your car to Octopus, they give you better tariffs and rates by charging your car at the right times of day.
Okay.
If you've rented a car on Turo, that's powered by Smart Card, that unlock button that lets you unlock the car you just rented. So these types of experiences are super exciting to me because it makes mobility more accessible to everyone.
Yeah, awesome. So I think there are definitely people talking about connectivity in vehicles. It's been a thing for quite a long time, and always the challenge has been how do you access the connectivity as a software provider or as an organisation? How do you get that access? And it's always been difficult, I guess, with the hardware, the costs, and like these things. So I guess that's where you guys come in. But how have you found kind of that integration with OEMs and kind of overcoming that challenge?
Yeah. So when we started, we were actually not trying to build a developer platform. We were trying to go build an app for a car.
Okay.
And we tried going to developer.toyota.com. It didn't exist. And the same developer portal didn't exist for any car brand. And the market when we started about 6-7 years ago was very early, and only maybe 1 or 2 of every 10 cars shipping had cellular connectivity built in. And it was tough getting started. But in the last 3 years, the market has shifted. There's a lot of tailwinds. In the last 12 months in the US alone, 96% of the cars that shipped had a 4G or 5G modem built in. So if you buy a car, bring it home, you can visit our website, create an account, get an API key, and make a post request to unlock your car doors in a few minutes. And that's kind of like the innovation that's now become possible.
Yeah.
And we're seeing consumers for the first time connect not just one app to their car, but maybe 2, 3, 4 for all sorts of things, whether it's their roadside assistance, whether it's their auto insure, whether it's their utility. And we're just excited to see consumers have more options and choice around their mobility.
Yeah, awesome. And I think that's the key thing, really. A lot of the connectivity is often been focused on like location or reading mileage and things like that. But we were just talking before we've come on air here about how you can kind of use it to streamline things, to kind of, and the Octopus Energy example, I guess, is one of those. But I guess where people are kind of starting to think about the kind of activities and actions that you can drive from things that all the cars that are being built, like know all of these things, but being able to translate it through. So, where do you see like kind of the kind of trends going then, kind of over the next 12 to 18 months or something?
Yeah, I think the one thing I'm excited about what you guys are doing specifically is it sounds like you're trying to make new forms of shared mobility possible. And typically, even if you have hardware, the challenge has been even if you sell the hardware, there's software challenges. Reservations, bookings, payments, locking the cars, locating them, seeing if they're available or not. And I think rather than having all these cars sit parked unused all day, platforms like yours are going to make it possible to have fewer cars, but with better utilization, which means less carbon emissions, more affordable transit and transportation. I'm excited about companies like yours and what you're doing.
Yeah, awesome. No, thank you. And I think it's definitely a thing for us. Like it's actually in my talk later, but for us it's about like basically digitizing vehicle access, and like really it's a combination of what you guys are doing and what we're doing. Like we want to make vehicles more easily available to whoever needs them. Like cars, like make them work harder. It's not all about peer-to-peer and these things. It's often just about trying to get the right person to the right vehicle at the right time more flexibly. And that's really good, and systems like ours help, but we can only do that if we kind of know the vehicle and we understand what's going on. So yeah, super exciting. It's great to see your business growing and kind of expanding.
Thank you. Congrats on all your success as well, and I think you got some really amazing logos. So nice. Look forward to what we can do more together.
Yeah, great. Well, enjoy the rest of the show, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks. Great. So we're here with Sam from Carfu. Sam, tell us about your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carfu is a new type of comparison website. So you've heard of Money Supermarket, the market. We are a comparison website for mobility. Okay, and one of the challenges about using that word mobility is in the consumer world, no one really knows what it means. So we believe we're doing mobility comparison, but at the moment we talk about vehicle comparison, just from a consumer audience. So what that means is people come to our website and they tell us about their mobility needs. So we ask questions around how they're getting around at the moment, what kind of journeys they're doing, how far they're going, so we get a real understanding of what they're doing and how they're getting around. We ask questions about money and about budgets and about what they're spending. And we also ask some questions around preferences around vehicles. So would you ever get on a motorbike? Do you have a license for a car? So we can get a real picture of their mobility needs. And then what we've been doing is we've built this great big database of all kinds of different vehicles, everything from cars at one end to electric skateboards at the other, and everything in between. So vans, pickup trucks, motorcycles, mopeds, bicycles, you name it. And we're agnostic to the fuel type, so whether that's EV or hydrogen or hybrid or just pure pedal power, we don't mind. And then we've been working with a load of different providers of those vehicles. So that might be a car dealer, it could be a bike shop, it could be a leasing provider, a subscription provider, a sharing provider. So we take all of that information about people, all of these different vehicles, all these different providers, and what we then do is we provide recommendations on what they should do. And the difference about those recommendations are they're based on total cost of use. Okay? So that's total cost of use financially and total cost of use environmentally. So we're a mobility comparison platform that uses total cost of use to make recommendations about all kinds of vehicles and all ways you can access them.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, sounds amazing. It sounds like a real gap in the market. I mean, things are getting more complex, I guess, with both changing fuel type and also emerging access models, subscription and sharing, and those types of modes as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's what we found when we started talking to consumers. We found I think the things we found were two things. One was there's this explosion of choice, and obviously that's something you guys are doing a really good job around. There was more choice, but what they were struggling with was, one, they didn't know about some of that choice, but two, what they're really struggling with is how to compare it. So they can understand a subscription. The subscriptions are brilliant, right? They're really simple. You can see what's bundled in, and that's great. What the challenge has been is sometimes when they look at the number, let's say it's £800 a month, they're used to paying £200 a month for a PCP deal. Maybe not in this current environment, but what they're then trying to work out is about the gap between those two numbers, and actually how does that work. And that's where kind of we feel that we come in as a kind of impartial service to help people actually understand that total cost of what it looks like. So we look at over 20 different running costs, and those running costs depend on the different providers that we're working with. So with a subscription provider, we'll include less of them. With a car dealer that's doing something on a PCP, we include more of them where we do the calculations. And it's all about, for us, it's more about levelling the playing field between different modes to actually show people, and different access types to really show them that they've maybe got more choice than they thought, and to also bring to life some new things maybe they've not heard of. And car subscription is a great example of that. Not a lot of people have heard of it relative to leasing or finance, but actually it's a great option for lots of people, and it's more about bringing that to life in comparison to those other options so people can really make an informed choice.
Yeah, awesome. And tell us whereabouts you guys are on your journey. So you're building the product out, you're getting ready for launch, I understand. So what's the process timelines that you're working with?
So we just closed the funding round, just on CrowdQ. The money came into the bank this week, so that was very nice. So it was nice to come here with that also behind us. And so now we've already got a list of launch partners. So working with those launch partners now, we're now heading towards launch. Launch will be this year. We're aiming for sort of late summer, but one of the things that's fascinating about what we're doing is we're merging all kinds of different data sets. We've got data sets from suppliers around vehicles, we've got integrations with different partners, and we've got all these running cost calculations. And so what we've been doing at the moment is we're still going through all of those calculations, making sure they're absolutely watertight before we launch the new site. So there'll be a beta version of it out, a new beta version. We've already had a beta version, there's a second beta version of the new site where people can test and have a play. And so optimistically, we'll go live sort of end of September. It really depends. And I think one of the interesting challenges from a process side is we work with the FCA, we need to be compliant, and also total cost of use is a new number. The people see it and they don't understand it, they don't know what it includes, so we have to do quite a bit of education to help people understand that. So optimistic, late September we'll be done.
Awesome, sounds great. And just finally to wrap up, what have you made of Move? So kind of coming right to the end of the session on the last day, what's been your making, what things you've learned?
So I would say, this is our second year at Move, second time exhibiting. I think the things that really stood out for me this second year is busier. There's a lot of people here, and I think it's not just number of stands. Particularly the startup studio and the startup space it feels like it's double the size, but also it's twice as busy. There's more people attending. There's more people asking us questions. My team are absolutely exhausted. They're completely run off their feet. But I also think even things like all of the different stages and theatres, what's fascinating about that is they're much busier. I hosted one last year, the dealerships and the e-commerce one, and we were lucky if we were averaging 10 people a show. And actually what's been fascinating is this one is ramped. Every single one I've been to, every talk has been incredibly, incredibly busy. So I think it's a real credit to the Move team, and actually probably where the industry's going, that it's obviously a busy space at the moment. So I'm really impressed with Move. I think they do a great job every year. So we're really happy to attend it.
Awesome. Okay, great. Sam, thanks very much. Really appreciate it, and say enjoy the rest of the show. It's an hour left, but yeah.
We'll enjoy eking our way through to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Great. So we're here at Move with Amir from StoreDock. Tell us a bit about what your product does.
Yeah, of course. So StoreDock developed a battery that can be charged in 10 minutes. So we offer the users the ability to charge the battery in 105. It's 100 miles in 5 minutes, or 160 kilometers in 5 minutes. And we have a roadmap going onwards to 104 and 103, introducing new technologies going forward in our roadmap.
Okay, awesome. And in terms of the application of the batteries, so what's your kind of progress to date? What kind of projects are you working on?
Yeah, so we offered our A samples to more than 15 EV OEMs around the globe, which understand very clearly that today the main adoption hurdle in adopting EVs in the market is the charging anxiety, meaning how long you need to wait in the queue and how long it's going to take you to charge your EV. Yeah, and not all of the drivers have the ability at home or the infrastructure or the space to do it overnight. And when you do long distance driving, you don't want to wait half an hour, 40 minutes to charge your car in the way. So this limitation, if we can overcome and give the same feeling as fueling a car, the same experience as fueling a car, then the adoption will be much easier of the EV vehicles.
Yeah, okay, yeah, makes total sense, because there's kind of two aspects to it that you touched on. One is just the convenience, the speed, but also there's a bit about the infrastructure, I guess. If everyone only needs to stay at a charger for 10 minutes, you can do more. You can get more people through. You know, we've all experienced. I'm an EV owner. I've experienced going to a charge point and realizing that the charge point's busy. Someone's just plugged in 5 minutes ago, and I know there'll be 40 minutes or 45 minutes.
Correct.
I have to go and find another charger. So if I know they're only 10 minutes, it's much quicker. So yeah, super interesting. And because and I won't pretend that I'll understand it when you explain, but tell me a bit about the technology, how the batteries made. How's it different to the current batteries?
Yeah, so what we've done is that basically we took out the graphite from the anode and replaced it with 100% silicon. So the only active material that we have in the anode is silicon. But then again, it has to be nano-sized particles, because when you charge fast, by the way, you can charge today every battery fast. The problem, you have two main problems. One is safety.
Yep.
The dendrites. It causes dendrites, and this is a safety issue. The other problem, you severely damage the health of the battery.
Yep.
So a battery that can do 1,000 cycles, if you charge it fast, most likely you won't even reach 100, 200 cycles. When we say that we have a battery, first of all, it's very high energy density, above 300 watt-hour per kg, which is very high. And we allow it to be charged more than 1,000 cycles consecutively on the extreme fast charge. So even if you only fast charge the battery, it will do you more than 1,000 cycles. And this is what our customers understand. Because even today, when car manufacturers say that they can fast charge the battery, they ask you not to do this too many times, because it's going to damage the health of the battery. They understand the value proposition of what we're offering them, and therefore are very interested in our technology.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, no, it sounds incredible. Fascinating use of the technology and a really interesting use case. Tell us a little bit, just to kind of wrap up, about what's next for you. Kind of what's your roadmap for the next kind of 12 months?
Yeah, so we're working on the next generation, which is 104. So it's going to be with higher energy density, different, with more optimized cathode technology. It's going to be around the 350 watt-hour per kg. But going onwards, we're also having a group of people who think about our next technology. Is going to be semi-solid state and all solid state. Surely this, at a certain point, will come to the market. We believe it's going to take a certain time for it to be mature enough. And but we're working, because we understand that in the future, this is the roadmap that the batteries are going towards too. Yet, at this moment, due to the massive amount of investment that was done on the gigafactories that are out there in the market, our current technology works on current manufacturing lines. So there's no need for additional capex, and the time to market is very fast.
Okay, awesome. Amir, thanks very much for coming on. Really enjoyed the conversation, and
Thank you very
best
much.
of luck with the rest of the show.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tony, here with Tony, Metis Engineering. Tell us a bit about what you guys are doing here at Move today and your business.
Okay, so Metis grew out of Bloodhound. I don't know if you remember Bloodhound, those good old days of land speed records. So Joe Holdsworth, who runs Metis, integrated the jet engine with the car. Fantastic. So Uber Brain.
Yep.
And then Joe moved on to Electroflight, the world airspeed record. And it was essential that didn't fall out of the air.
Right, okay.
So in order to make sure that didn't happen, Joe designed and invented a sensor that would detect thermal runaway.
Okay, right.
And I think we're all familiar with thermal runaway. And it has various stages, and one of those first stages is off-gassing.
Yeah.
And so our little sensor detects off-gassing.
Okay.
But as well as that, it looks at pressure changes within the battery pack, dew point, so if you're cooling and heating the pack, you want to know whether you're developing any moisture on the cells, and also looks at pressure. And this little baby also does shock loading.
Okay.
So if you drop your battery pack or you happen to crash into a tree,
you
want to know what's happened to it. So that's where it came from.
Okay. Yeah, amazing.
And that's what it does.
And in terms of then its application in the real world, I guess, is going to be looking at kind of managing those battery packs in different scenarios. So how do you guys deploy this technology to?
So this sits inside your battery pack. It's a CAN-based system, so it just plugs straight into the CAN system on any vehicle. So we can analyse that data that's coming off this. So it's additional to the BMS.
Okay.
So the traditional BMS looks at voltage and temperature.
Yeah.
So this looks at everything else. So as well as looking after safety, you can also take your battery pack maybe that little further than you have done in the past.
Okay. Right.
Because you can actually push it that little bit harder with the safe knowledge that you're going to be able to detect any flaws that goes on within the pack.
Both in life, I guess, in kind of charging events, but also in event of accidents or change in its use, but also in like the longevity of its use as well. Is that kind of
So if you've got that data, imagine you're buying that pack second hand or that car second hand.
Yeah.
You're going to want to know what's gone on with that particular pack.
Yeah.
And this will give you that additional data to be able to give you that information.
Okay.
Now, it might not be you as a customer, but definitely as a dealer can download that data and find out what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds super interesting, and obviously a big challenge that's talked a lot about in the industry about how we manage battery packs. A lot of stuff is talking about battery recycling, but I guess it's a lot of it's about how do we make the most out of them while we have them. I guess. So in terms of how you guys kind of deploy this, I guess you work with battery manufacturers, also OEMs. Is it something that is effectively aftermarket as well, or how do you guys deploy?
So again, because it's the flexibility of how we've designed it, so it's fully configurable. You can either do it as an aftermarket. Ideally, you want to be working with battery manufacturers, pack manufacturers, but the industry is in its very infancy at the moment. So working with the right people is the right thing. So we've got a number of customers already who are using it, exporting as well as in the UK, and we hope to develop that further.
Okay, awesome. Tony, thanks very much for joining us. Really interested to hear about what you guys are doing. Early on in the show, we're meeting you, so enjoy the rest of the couple of days here, and it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thanks very much.
Great.
That's great.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
So hey, so here we're with Yogev from Hyundai Motors Europe. Yogev is in the mobility team, centrally working with the European markets to, I guess, launch and trial mobility models and work towards being a mobility as a service provider. Yogev, is that summarise that correctly?
Yeah, I'm part of the future mobility team at the European headquarters, based in Frankfurt, and we work with different teams in Europe in the different markets to develop new services, and we work to develop the technologies that enable them, their operational processes, together with the markets until they are fully ready for growth and expansion. It's part of Hyundai overall strategy of shifting from original equipment manufacturing, car making, into becoming a mobility provider as a whole. That means different car services like car sharing, car subscription, mobility, and multimodal services.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and then subscription is something I know you were talking about here at Move yesterday, so launching of motion subscription. So how do you see that rolling out? What are the things you've learned? Is that you're finding demand for the product?
Yeah, I think we are at a point that in the past 2 years since we launched in Barcelona and in London, we learned a lot about what users want, and we developed the skills and the features that the broad audience needs. And we keep investing in rolling on, geographically, expanding geographically, and also enhancing the features in a way that would fit any type of need. So I think subscription, the key for subscription is the flexibility around it. That's why people want it. And when we say flexibility, it can be any kind of story. It can be someone that just got married, someone that has a new baby, someone that just adopted a dog. And all of this needs to have answers, and we cannot have the answers in a broad feature set. It needs to be tailor-made.
In a one-size-fits-all. I think it's the thing I talk a lot about for subscription is that it's, the flexibility isn't just about being flexible access to the car itself, but it's having flexibility about how you want to subscribe to the product, how you want to access the vehicle, and how you want to move around. So are you guys seeing like a lot of talk about whether subscription will become mainstream and kind of how that product looks? What are your thoughts around how the product's going to evolve and become mainstream? Is it going to be consumer-led or going to be led by the market, by us?
Definitely led by the market. I think nobody ever wanted the hassle around car ownership. Right? Yep. Nobody wanted to handle the insurance. Nobody wanted to handle the maintenance. It's all about what we can offer. Now we can offer things that we couldn't offer 10 years ago because the technology was not available. So it's totally on us, the OEMs or the other big companies. And the key to do it is the technology, to integrate with as many ways as possible to evaluate the good customers, to provide the tailor-made services, and the flexibility needs to be all the way from the onboarding, which currently on Motion takes 10 minutes, to the service itself. We hand over the car very quick, 5 business days in Spain, 10 business days in the UK, and we need to be available geographically in as many places as possible. We are growing to additional countries in Europe, and by the end of this year we are planning to be available in all mainland Spain, and in England, Wales and Scotland.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, brilliant. And in terms of the kind of monetization and kind of how you see that structured pricing and pulling all those things together, are you finding learning lessons from different markets about how customers want to consume subscription, I guess, versus some kind of other models?
I think customers find it still a new idea, and we're still at a stage that we are attracting those people that see an ad and immediately connect to it and go for it. Those customers that are indecisive, we need to still tailor-make the offering to fit them, so it will be very, very clear what we are offering them. So we are working a lot on automation in this sense. Part of it is the marketing. We are working on dynamic ads. So it's sort of way for us to make sure that each marketing message you see perfectly fits your needs. So part of it is the ability to change anything on the platform by the fleet manager and have it reflected immediately as the offering. It's like having thousands of salesmen, each one of them attracting with the perfect message for the relevant customer, and that's the way it's going to go. I think consulting companies talk about estimations. The big ones, BCG, McKinsey, they talk about 15% to 40% of total car sales. And that's going to happen with this customization.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. And I think there's that bit about the type of customer. I was having this debate with one of our subscription customers this week of you can't just go up and put an Ioniq 5 at a price point in an ad to a generic customer base, because it will seem expensive subscription because people are looking versus a PCP or lease, and it's a different proposition. But if you can find the right customer, the customer that's happy to go, I know this, I get it, I can move. It's still in that early adopter phase, I think, and that's the bit where as the product evolves, it will become more mainstream because there's clear benefits to the customer. It's just about them understanding it, I suppose.
That's clearly correct. It's the need-based. It's a need-based run service or demand, and the more needs that we are able to serve, the more customers we bring. And really, I believe that we offer something great in terms of the flexibility. So it's just about the way. The challenge is the ability to make the customer aware of it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, it sounds really good. And just finally, then to wrap up, what's kind of next for the future mobility team, I guess? So is it still focusing on subscription? Are you going to be building out some more of the product offering over the next few years? What's kind of next on the roadmap?
overall direction is becoming a multimodal provider. The subscription is core, and it's core step for it. It's the natural step for us as an OEM to enter this world of handling B2C customers. It's the first time in the history of Hyundai in Europe that we have a direct business interaction with the customer, where the retailers get the opportunity for additional revenues coming from the operational process, not as the point of sale. Once we established ourselves there, the world of opportunities is very broad. So we have all these initiatives around Europe of car sharing and other kind of mobility services. The homologation of it under one umbrella of motion is very near, based on this data that we collect from the activity now. And I see it, I truly believe in where this is going.
Yeah, awesome. Yogev, thanks so much for coming on. Really interesting to hear your insights. Really excited to see where the product goes and how it develops. And enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the move, and thank you for having me here.
Yeah, nice.